Hello, guys. This is your girl Diamond. Today we are doing this podcast with Mr. Kevin Mathurin, a fellow YouTuber, and we are going to be talking about St. Lucia's culture, the Creole language, and the other books that I have published thus far, and he as well, and also the newly published storybook Tutu, the Curious Turtle. So join us.
Hello everyone. Here with us today is my guest, Anicia Jean-Baptiste. She's a talented author from St. Lucia. She is the creative mind behind the popular Creole coloring book, Pencil Fantasy, and the St. Lucia Creole with Writing book and journal. Newly published children's book, Tutu, The Curious Turtle, and ABCs with basic phrases and translation. Anicia's passion for the native language and culture shines through in her beautifully designed books, which are both fun and educational. In addition to her writing, Anicia also shares her love for St. Lucian Creole through her YouTube channel. There, she teaches viewers how to speak and understand the language, providing helpful tips and engaging lessons. Anicia's dedication to promoting her language and culture has made her a beloved figure beyond St. Lucia. Through her books and online presence, she continues to inspire and educate people about the beauty and richness of Creole language and culture. So here we are with Miss Anicia. Hello.
Hey, Kevin, thank you for having me. Yes, I'm very, very excited to be here. And I am so looking forward to sharing my heart, my soul, and my story to our viewers, to all my subscribers, and even my St. Lucian people. So I am quite excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, great. And thank you for agreeing to have that interview with us. And we're really looking forward to the mind of a local writer like you, like yourself. And what are you thinking about? What's going on? What are you trying to do? So my first question to you now, we're delving straight into it. We're not wasting any time because persons want to know why you are here. Why did you choose writing? Why writing? There's so many other things that you could have get yourself involved in that could be profitable as writing as well, but distinctively, why writing? Why?
To be honest, Kevin, I did not choose writing. I think it chose me. Yeah. So because of my journey, and as we go on throughout that podcast, you will, and also the viewers will learn where the writing, the roots came from. So it's not. I would say for now, I did not choose it. It kind of chose me. So that's what I could say for now.
All right, so what's the writing, so what's the journey, like of writing, choosing someone? Because if I'm a viewer out there and myself, I would like to know, yeah, is writing choosing me and I'm not taking the call? What is the journey of writing choosing you, and what are the expectations of writing?
Okay, well, for me, my journey started from way back in 2019 when I actually resigned from my job, which was what people would say a pretty good job. Because when I did that, my father was a bit upset that I did that. Okay, my mom was worried, but my dad was upset. So it's something that your parents might say that was a stupid move. So reason for leaving, for resigning from my job is that with the intention to go forward to running my own company at the time. So I had hopes in the company, and I still do, because I mean it is a great business. Um, but what happened? What caused me to go into it, right? From there, when I resigned, I after I started the company, shortly after, I became pregnant with our second child. So, and between the time 2019, 2020, you all know what happened in 2020. The pandemic hit, that COVID-19 pandemic hit. So
Mhm.
I found myself at home, baby, with the company. I have resigned from my job, and being in that position, it was quite difficult for me to continue to run the company like I'm supposed to, because you all know the challenges of running a business back then during COVID-19. Also, with the child, because schools were closed at the time, preschools, daycares, and you were not able to find an open preschool or daycare at the time to put, like, for me to place my daughter. So that was my challenge. So I was stuck between a rock and a hard place, technically, like Lucians say.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I find myself having to try to, use the brain cells, try to figure out what am I going to do next? Now that I'm home, I'm stuck home with this new baby, what am I going to do? So I decided on, okay, let me try YouTube. But initially, when I started with YouTube, right, I did not go with the plan to go into to venture into the Creole sector, right?
Mm.
My initial beginning stage was me getting to know myself. Basically, that's what I introduced myself as on YouTube from the beginning. Me getting to know myself, and inviting you, the viewers, into my life so that we can all figure it out together. Right? So while I grow,
That's interesting. That is
yes,
very interesting. Well, go ahead.
yes.
It's very interesting.
So while I grow, I have my viewers also on the journey with me.
The problem we face in the 21st century as humanity is lack of meaning in life. This nihilism manifests itself in different ways. To maintain a civilization, more than half of the population must hold true to the fact that life has meaning. If not, the structure of our civilization will crumble. Join me as I try to wrestle with the idea of restoring meaning in life via a valuable aim. You can find my books on Amazon. The link is provided below.
Okay. So from there, that same YouTube channel, I decided, okay, um, the Creole. Then I start to think about, but the culture here in St. Lucia, I noticed that it is kind of dying, and most persons would agree with me when I say it is slowly dying, especially the Creole language. So that did not sit well with me. Okay, so I made it my duty, my aim to try to revamp that Creole language in St. Lucia, that culture, you know, because I mean, St. Lucia is a beautiful island. I mean, we have an exotic language. Why throw it away? Why let it die off? So that was my motivation. That was the time where I said, oh, let me do that, because at the time I'm thinking that I would actually be providing a service to persons, because you have to give, even if the it's not monetized as yet. So it's not
Mm.
like I was getting anything from it. So it was just me trying to engage and providing a service to our viewers, those persons, especially those persons overseas that probably have family in St. Lucia, or probably know someone in St. Lucia. Probably they grew up here and they no longer live here. So I thought to myself, these persons would actually want to learn the language, especially those who did not get the chance to learn the language. So this is where it
Yeah,
came from.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And
That's a that's a wonderful story, and there are many themes, and that's a wonderful journey. And majority of the time, when somebody tell you the journey, it always comes in the form of a story. Every time you ask somebody about the journey of their life, they always go ahead and tell you a story. And what do we do with story? How do we present stories? Back then, in the past cultures, we used to have traditional oration of stories. People used to speak stories, but now with the with the advent of writing, which come with the printing press. I think in the Renaissance, for stories are now written, and that could be one of the motivational factors that brought you into writing because you wanted to speak, you wanted to have a voice to say something. But there are many themes inside of the story that you said. And the first theme I'm seeing is that you live in your normal day, like a lot of us, we live our normal day-to-day lives without, it's like in a programmable conditional way, like we're conditioned to view life in a specific mechanistic way, like that's what we're supposed to do. They tell us we're supposed to go to school, we're supposed to find a job, we're supposed to do a whole bunch of things, and we're just going about doing these things. And sometimes these things can have physical and financial advantages, but something within you, it doesn't feel, not just feel, but it doesn't hit you in an inspiring way. It's like you're thirsty for something that you don't even know what you're thirsty for, and then probably that
That
leads you
is
to the
true.
next to the next theme in your story. You're thirsty to get to know yourself, and I read a lot of literature on things like that. And I read a passage from a philosopher from Greece. It was Socrates, and he said, "Ganoti Satan." That's a Greek for "know thyself." And he was saying majority of the journey of the human being when they get a call, a higher calling or something, is to get to know who is it that is doing the calling. And I listened to Miles Monroe. I've read a couple of Miles Monroe's books, and he's saying you have to answer some questions for yourself. You have to question. The first question you have to answer is, who am I? Why am I here? Yes. Where am
That's
I
right.
going? That's your destination. And what is my gift? So that's almost what you call a hero's journey in some sense. That's what I read in
Mhm.
the book, Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell. It's a hero's journey. You live in the normal feels like, to go deep within to find out who is that person that I am, that I need to express in the world. And
Right.
I'm saying with my book, when I published Purpose Driven, The Meaning of Life is Found a Purpose to Live, I was talking about adding up to all what the other authors said. I was saying, what do I do with who that I am, right? The purpose of your life. What do you do? Since you want to know who you are, you get to know who you are in some sense. It's a deep journey, and you're authentic with that person. You're a writer. You want to save your culture. And the other thing that comes after you try to find out who you are, I mean, you completed the journey. The next thing you realize you want to do is try to save your culture. That's
Yes,
interesting as well,
you're
because
right.
because we're St. Lucians, and our language is part of our identity. And our identity,
Mhm.
your culture is what you believe. It is part of your identification as well with the rest of the world. And you felt a need to want to save that. I think that's very very
Yes,
interesting. That's very
yes. And,
interesting. So
and
so why, let's go into the need of why do you want to save it? Why is it dying? Why do you think it's dying? And who is killing it? How is it being killed?
exactly. Why do I want to save it? That's the most important question here for me. Why do I want to save it? Because I have children, right? I would love to know that my children grow up knowing the culture. Like, for example, yesterday I was having a conversation with my 9-year-old son, and I was just telling him some stories of when we grew up, what we used to do, how we used to go climbing rivers and jumping from rocks into the water. Even when sometimes as a child your mom don't have stuff to make juice. I don't know if you know that one or you experience that, and used to just use some sugar and water and just sweeten that and drink that, drop a little cube of ice in that, and it's refreshing. So yesterday I was telling him that, and he was quite shocked. He was like, "Mommy, sugar and water?" You see, so even at home, I try to teach him certain things in Creole so that it doesn't die. It doesn't die with our generation. The next generation coming behind us ought to be, privileged enough to get to know that exotic language. Why have one language when you can speak two? You know how beautiful that is when you're in a foreign country and you're able to speak two languages? I spent some years in Barbados, and it was so refreshing to me when I met, and I'm having goosebumps right now. I felt so good knowing when I meet a Lucian there. and we able to speak Creole. We walk in Fruiton and we speak Creole, and it was such a beautiful experience for me. So I want the generation after that to somewhat, even if it's not my journey, my same experience, at least let them feel, let them experience that, for themselves, the second language, the privilege of having to learn the ancestral tongue, the language, that's our season.
So,
That's
so,
our
so, so I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I'm feeling we're flowing into something. I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I'm going to ask you a question, and we're having this conversation in English, and I think the nature of the conversation is based on. So I think we should at least speak about one question in Creole. So I want to ask my question in Creole, and I'd like you to answer that question in Creole. Um, ou hen bagay la ou vle fè ek la vou. Sa ou vle fè ek la vou, ou hen sa. Ha? Ek
oui,
sa se, ek sa,
moi,
ek sa se, ek sa se matche. Sa se matche se bay l'histoire lot moun ka vini pou yo kopan lang mama nou vek tout se bay sa. Bon, ki sa ou kwe sa kay fe bay yo le yo vini kopan se langaj sa ek kilte nou kon an moun. Ki sa kay fe bay yo men?
moi just vle se zafan, se lot jenerasyon open. E si a gwo moun ka pale ba yo, yo sa we pon a patwa, yo sa we pon a Creole, paske atcholman, mamay atcholman yo pa sa pale patwa. So, yon komunikasyon ek ka servi langaj yo. We, depi le mwen te piti, leve ka pale patwa. Ek nawe atcholman, se mamay atcholman, yo pa sa menm pale langaj la. Mwen pa konet tout bagay
Ouais,
an
oui,
Creole.
oui, oui, oui,
So,
because Creole la wèd pou mwen pou pale. Because nou pa kamen
iwe,
pale Creole la tout le kon se moun avan ti ka pale Creole la.
exactly.
E Creole la ka bat nou de le, men nou stil ni an ti chou
Mhm,
langaj la, an ti chou kil te a. Me sa menm ka mor, lot mamay ka vini a ba mwen la apwiza. Pasa menm kopan se bay sa nou ka de la.
mhm. Pate mwen ka mouche moun manye pou fey, mwen ka actually apon ni, pli. Paske
Nou
mwen ni
menm,
pou fey
ouais.
research, oui, len a mene a video, len mwen ka edit a video, mwen ni pou ay fey research mwen. De le mwen pou pale bay maman mwen, so mwen pa
Oui,
vle,
oui,
mwen
nou
vle
kompren.
apon ni pli patan mwen
Oui.
ka mouche moun.
Moon. Yeah,
Oui.
yeah. Well, that's. I think you did justice with it a while ago. Even though I struggled myself, and I'm so fluent in English, that's terrible. So,
Exactly, exactly. That
so that
so
opened my
it is
eyes
a
as well. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it is a challenging if you don't grow up doing it, it is a challenging language. And you know, as I was mentioning a while ago, I am not perfect in Creole. Even my husband, sometimes I have to ask him, what do I say when I need to say this? I
Mhm,
would call,
mhm.
as I mentioned, I would call down the countryside and ask my family, what do you say
Yeah,
if you want to say that?
yes, it is.
Or
Yeah,
I also
yeah.
have a Creole dictionary. So before I actually bring out a video, I
Mhm.
do my homework first. I do
Yeah.
stuff. I do my research before I
And what is your
present it
reception?
to people.
What is your reception in the wider world? How do persons outside of the country and how successful is your page? And all those things we want to know because you want to bring Creole out to the world. Persons don't know it. You want to teach
Yes,
it to them. Are you getting good success out there to let for persons to then understand our language is something that's respected in and beyond our borders and our shores?
yes. What I can say is that I've gotten a lot of feedback from persons from abroad, right? With my YouTube channel, I have viewers from Canada, from England, from Europe, from France, from Martinique, from, some other countries. And I also, some of my subscribers are also from St. Lucia. So sometime last year, I was not as well known, or what I would say is that I did not have as much of a following as now, right? I'm not where I want to be, but I am slowly getting there. And what I have realized is that solutions are actually starting to recognize me. Sometimes I go down south, and it has happened to me twice where I encounter somebody that walk up to me and they say, "I know you." I know it actually recognized me and they were able to pick out that it is from the YouTube channel that they saw me.
Yeah.
Yes. So I
Yeah.
think that it is starting to be more broad, and more persons are getting to learn about the channel. So,
Yeah,
and
let's speak
people,
let's speak let's just speak about YouTube as a business opportunity. I don't think much persons understand the dynamics of that. What
mhm,
must be required must be done, and after that we're going to delve straight into the book, the most exciting topic that I want to have right now. The book. What was the
yeah.
title again? Tutu.
Tutu the curious Tutu.
Okay, yeah, I want to know why Tutu was curious. I want to get to know that. But just tell me about the YouTube as a business and what is required for it to grow and what does growing mean? What does that mean?
In YouTube, first thing for you to acquire a YouTube channel, you must set it up, right? You must register with YouTube. There are requirements. I can't remember everything, but what I know one of the requirements are is that you have to have a US um address or something. And but that's not even important. We'll get there because that was not my main focus. I really did not care about that. I just wanted to register at the time. Now, for YouTube, for you to get a following, you have to constantly be at it. You have to constantly. It gets to a point where it's a bit tiring, especially when you do not have the help, because there's a lot of things that go on the background. Because you would know, you're a content creator, you would know the
Yeah,
different works that you different things that you have to put in place to actually put out one video. So
yeah,
it's a lot of work. It gets tiring. Hopefully, in the hopes that when the channel is bigger and you're able to hire people to assist you. But for now, I'm not at that point yet. So I have to practically do everything myself. The editing, the shooting, the create graphic things that go is into the video. So it was a learning curve for me. Let me just say that it was a learning curve because before that, I did not know about these things. I would not even say I was technically savvy.
so you learn
So
about
it
that
was a
during COVID.
learning. Exactly. COVID sent a lot of people into searching deep within. I'm pretty sure
Mm,
that God had already given me that talent. I just did not know it. So I find myself doing it, and I kept asking myself, but why am I learning this? Because a lot of things I learned during the time, or even before I started the actual channel, I used to ask myself, why am I doing this? And because it did not click yet. But when it clicked is when I actually started doing the thing, having a YouTube channel. I said, oh, that's why I was learning that. That's why I was trying this.
yeah,
So God has a plan for every
yeah.
one of us. And like you were saying earlier, it's for you to sometimes take a sit back and dig deep into yourself and see, what is my purpose? Who am I? I had to find myself. And sometimes you find yourself doing that and you end up being in a dark place to end up finding that. Yeah, because sometimes if you're happy and everything is going the way it's planned, you don't get to search within.
Mhm, mhm,
So sometimes it has to take you where you in a dark place for you to
mhm.
search and find out what's going on in you that you need to bring out. What is your talent? What is your drive? What makes you happy? You know?
And that brings me back to the motive. A lot of the biblical characters, especially Abraham, when God called him, God called him to do something. And in
Mm-hmm.
order, when God called him to do something, and there's a story of Jonah as well, the one that got swallowed by the fish. You see that many of the structures of the story take up all of them. They are similar, there are similar events happening in all of them, and I'm extracting those events to say, like, probably that's the entire human journey, because the individual journey. Because Abraham, when God called on Abraham, and he had to leave his father's tent, he went toward that place, He went through a lot of things. He went through farming. He went through being able lying about his wife. He went through a lot of dark things before he realized the person that he needed to become the man of God. And Jonah, when God called him to go and I hope I have the right character. When God called him to go and speak to the people of Nineveh, and he refused. He went on the boat
Yes,
and he fell down in the belly of the whale. At the darkest place you could go is not even in the bottom of the ocean. It's in the belly of a whale in the bottom of the ocean. So you're
that's right.
in a very dark place, and then he realized, oh well, okay, let me go and do what God asked me to do. Let me go and become the person God see that I could become. And let me go and live a meaningful life purposefully. And then when he made that decision, the whale brought him exactly on the shores, like you were saying. You were learning all that, not knowing why you were learning that. But then when you got there, you realized, oh wow, I'm on the shores of Miniver in some sense, exactly where God wanted me to know, without even knowing that I had to go there. So that's what the part of this that's why I love reading the biblical stories, because a lot of what it,
Yes,
when you look at it closely, you're seeing that a lot of what it is speaking about, it's still happening today with individuals. Like God call on you to do something, you leave your normal, you're in your father's tent, right? You're in your comfortable place, and you're working, you're making your money. But God said, no, that's not what I want you to do. There's something else I want you to do. Who's going to leave all
exactly.
that comfort to go down and suffer in famine, suffer into imprisonment and all those things, and then to
Yes,
go back up? People just rather stay comfortable. I'm comfortable. I'm in my father's tent. I'm eating cherries and grapes and drinking wine. Is that why would I live that? It takes a heart of a real hero to look and beacon and see the light that is placed upon further away from them, and to take that journey and to go into it and to try to wrestle with the goal, to wrestle with the purpose, and to do something meaningful. And doing something meaningful, like I said in my book, is not doing something that is only beneficial to you. It is
mhm,
beneficial to you, but it's also beneficial to your family. It's also beneficial to
right,
your community. It's also beneficial to
exactly.
your country. It's beneficial to your culture, and it's beneficial to the natural environment. So
That's
there's a
right.
thin line that you must be thinking upon. If is that going to benefit me? And a lot of our young people don't think that way, and that's why I want to teach them how to think that way. Like, if you're going to think of doing something, if that thing is going to affect your family, don't try a different strategy, try a different way. If there's something else, if that thing is going to affect your society, you shouldn't do that. It's going to affect your society because you see it's going to affect your society. If it's going to affect your culture, why do that? If it's going to destroy the environment, why do that? So I think that's the idea, and I'm just reasoning that probably somebody have a different analysis of that, different
Mhm,
interpretation. But that's what I believe when the Bible say straight and narrow is the path that leads to life. That's how I believe that. It's straight and
that's
narrow. It's a
right.
small path. Like,
It's
it's
a
a small path. It takes everybody into consideration. So you're benefiting
yes.
everybody at the same time, and not only yourself, but you're benefiting yourself, just like the journey you're on. You all on the journey of, you have your YouTube channel. If it gets monetized, great for you. You're getting the monetization from that. You're writing your books, you're selling your books, but at the same time, you're trying to help keep the language and the culture alive. That has nothing to
Mhm,
do with you. It's about the culture. You're leaving of
exactly.
service to others. That's
Yes,
brilliant. And I think
yes.
things like that, when you apply time to it, it becomes successful across time. And that's where you need
Mhm,
God to give you strength to maintain it across time. So let's
yes.
delve
That's
into
right.
the book. I want to go into the book right now. What inspired or what motivated you to I mean
What's it?
first of all, the title. What motivated the title, and talk about the book as much as you can.
Okay. First thing, the title, Tutu, the Curious Turtle. Now, you all may have heard that I have a 3-year-old daughter, a 3-year-old child. Well, she's a girl, right? Her name is actually Tuan. So we call her Tutu at home. So first thing, the title, it is her. The name Tutu is actually my 3-year-old. So also she has that personality, sorry. She's very curious and she likes to explore. Now, a lot of persons in my family who they know me growing up, right? They actually told me that she's exactly like me. She doesn't look like me, but you see the whole personality, the mean and everything. They said that is you. That is you. That's how you were from small. That is you. You know? So the story of Tutu the Curious Turtle, it came from me. Basically, the story is somewhat me as a person, but at the same time, it is my daughter as a child. I don't want to say everything, or other stuff because I do want
Yeah,
you guys
yeah,
to go
yeah.
out and
And
purchase
by
the book.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
it's on
I agree.
Amazon right now.
Mhm.
So I'll just give you a synopsis of the story. So Tutu, she's in a pond, right? She's safe in her pond and stuff like that. So she decided, out of her curiosity, to venture into the forest. And the forest is a big place. So why I use the forest is because me, when I left my job, I went into the unknown. I did not know what to expect. It's like taking a step of faith, but you're scared at the same time, but you're curious because that's just who you are. And Tutu went out into the forest. She explored and she saw things she saw things that engage her. She did things and stuff like that. And you'll see it in the story as well. And at some point in the story, she got lost. She got lost. Now, me, when that pandemic hit, and I was left with a newborn baby, not my without my job for years. I used to have, my job as a security for years. I had this plan, this business venture that I wanted to step into, but I was not able to go into it because when the pandemic hit, you know what happened, as I explained earlier. So this is where Tutu is lost, right? She's lost and she doesn't know where to turn, and the emotions start to sink in, and until the rainbow appears. Not an actual rainbow. A rainbow did not appear in the story,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
as you read it, you'll get to understand what I'm
Understand?
referring to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and then she was excited to get that rainbow. It's not a
Mhm.
rainbow, as I said, it's not a rainbow.
Yes, yes. It's a
And
symbolic thing,
it's
right?
a symbolic thing I'm using.
All right, all right.
So for me, my YouTube channel and writing was that moment for me, like the moment,
Yeah.
and then I start to, as Tutu in the story, she start to feel relieved.
Mhm.
She start to feel relieved in that, that symbol appeared.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is where I said, my this is where the story kind of link me as an individual, and it also link the child because she's also very curious, and there are things that she does at home that she finds herself in trouble, and so
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
why I said curious. Yes.
Yeah. So let me just press you, ask you some questions. What is your uh, relationship with, well, what is your educational background like?
Okay. I grew up, well, I went to primary school in St. Lucia, obviously. I went to secondary school. Not a very prestige secondary school, what people Lucians would say, George Charles Secondary School. I don't know if you know that school.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed of my school, so I'm going to say it proudly, George Charles. But a lot of people think that it's not well, not think. I will not say think. A lot of people actually feel that it's not a good school, but what I can say is that a lot of good students come from that school, a lot of good individuals and grown-ups. I have met a few of my classmates or even persons that went before me, and they attended this school and they did very well in life. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
So
also,
I asked that
mhm.
to find out um if you study, what exactly are you interested in studying, or what did you study in, or what are your educational interests? What are you interested in learning? Do you read books? All right, let's start with that. Do you read books? Read
um,
books. What type of books do you read?
when I went to secondary school, I did not like books. I mean, I did well. I did well with my CXCs, but it's not something I liked doing. As
Mhm.
you mentioned earlier, sometimes you do things, you grow up because you follow the tradition, you follow the thing, and there's always something missing because I always felt
Mhm.
like, I'm not there. That's not what I am meant to do. So growing up, being in school, yes, I did my schoolwork. I did my SBAs, I did my exams and everything. But it is not something I liked doing. Even when I left school, although when I left school, started my job where I worked for years, like about 10 years I worked with that company. I lived in Barbados and there I actually did further my education. I did business management in Barbados as well. And I also there was a early childhood education management I did while I was there as well. Because at some point in my life, I did feel that I wanted to cater to kids.
Mhm.
I just did not know what it was yet. You know, I thought in my mind it was teaching at a preschool, or being a preschool teacher, right?
Mhm.
That's what I thought. So,
So you always had part of you that was interested in teaching.
yes, but I didn't know
Okay.
why. I did not understand.
Wow.
But I did the course anyway, and I did my business management. And then after that, I came back to St. Lucia, and then I started working with this company. And throughout the years with me working there, I did further more into my education. I ventured into marketing management with ABE. That's a school. I'm not too sure most persons may know it or may not know. ABE is a school based in the UK, right? But they provided, just like Monroe College provides teaching and courses, and in St. Lucia, I did AB as with the marketing management thing because at some point I felt like I needed to learn marketing. But back then, I did not know why. I had no idea why I was doing this. I was just doing
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Yes. So I did that, the marketing management and the business management, right? And then you ask for the educational background, this is what it is. It's not no
All right.
fancy thing
All
where
right.
I
All right.
want to
There's a reason
uni
I asked
or
I
I want
asked
to.
that I asked that because there are story writing patterns and there are story writing patterns and there's something called cross-cultural in every story there are some things that happens across every culture. It's not that it happens with our culture only. It happens across cultural that's across cultural society that's alive today and cultural
Mhm,
society that has passed. And the idea, some of the ideas that you spoke about in your story, I was wondering whether or not it was something that you understood the patterns of writing a story. And I find that's very
mhm.
impressive that like
Oh,
it's almost
mhm.
like you know something that you don't even know that you know. And that's very
Yes,
impressive. That's very impressive. So I'm going to show you,
that's
it's not going
right.
to take too much time
I
to speak
was.
about it here, but I'm going to show you it afterwards. It's very, there's a bunch of books that I read, like The Unconscious Mind by Carl Jung. And he talked about the same forest, like the same structure of living, the same story of living living and going into the forest. The forest is in some sense the unconscious mind. You don't know what you're going to do there. And there's a point of getting lost, there's a point of being found. And a lot of those stories see itself happen in the same cycle in the Bible as well. So it's almost like a human journey. And I'm very impressed to see that you're writing a story on that level, unconsciously using the same ideas that I used to write stories like that. I think that shows, and one of the things that I'm trying to find with my podcast is whether or not there is objective truth to human life and human perception. And you actually modeling the fact that there are things that happen cross-culturally, in not just
Mhm,
happen subjectivity based on the individual, but it happens with every person on the planet must go through that level of getting lost, learning, and going back into the society and to now
mhm,
help build the society. So my question to you now, apart from the culture itself, trying to teach about the language of the culture. And that's my last question. What is it that you see in our current society that could be done better? And how would you want to impact your current society and to do something to help in that sense? If there is something that's going wrong that you have put your mind to thinking about it seriously and you're trying to
Mm,
help out, what is there anything that you're thinking about that needs to be improved in our society?
okay. One of the things I thought about and I recognize is that in schools, even in primary schools or even in the earlier education, like preschools, I realize that our culture is not being taught to the children growing up. And for me, that's a big no-no because for us to keep the culture alive or whatever it is that you need to keep alive, you need to introduce it to smaller generation, the newer generation. If you don't do that, if you fail to do that, what happens? It dies off. Eventually the older folks will die, the older generation will vanish. And what happens if you don't teach the younger ones or pass on the baton to the younger generation? So my vision is to bring or to introduce that the Creole in even in my books to the schools and the children and the community so that actually helps prevent the culture from dying off. Yeah. And I know it's not going to be an easy road for me.
Not at
So
all.
it's yeah, not at all. And I know that in everything that you do, you expect. I'm actually expecting criticism. I'm actually
Mhm.
expecting probably some people don't agree with me, or or also I also expect persons to agree or to see the vision. But there are
Yeah,
always going to be that group that does not see the vision and does not see the need for it, or
yeah.
try to rebuke you or some stuff like that. So I'm not expecting a smooth road to do it, but this is my aim, my vision to actually bring
That's
it
a noble
forth.
aim. That's
Yeah.
a noble aim, and not much persons are genuinely on missions like that.
Mm,
And I think that's a very good point to introduce your book to the schools and to introduce your book
yeah.
to the wider society and plus our local people. So
Yeah.
it is
And,
very,
and
very yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
and not only local. I don't want it to only be local persons learning that or getting the opportunity to learn. I want persons that live globally to also learn our exotic language, or even those persons that have roots in St. Lucia, but they were not never taught the language. I want them to get the opportunity to actually learn as well. So it's not just
All right.
only St. Lucia. I want it to be international.
The problem we face in the 21st century as humanity is lack of meaning in life. This nihilism manifests itself in different ways. To maintain a civilization, more than half of the population must hold true to the fact that life has meaning.